This is part 2, and I am referred to by my close friends as Mama She, and I'm speaking for my royal cat, whose name is Baba. And so we'll go more into the disciplines in this particular video. The disciplines is taught in the ancient Egyptian temple life. So keep in mind that it was Baba, a very royal and observant cat, whose memories are being shared. Now, humans in particular have interesting responses to mastery and the entire subject of consciously tapping into a deep mystery and purpose and plan that is very different from what is considered normalcy. Too many people assume the truth must be very complicated, difficult to comprehend, and almost impossible to achieve. Haven't you heard a person exclaim, "We're not perfect. Why not be?" I say. The Master Jesus clearly stated, "Be ye perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect." And cats understand this easily, and they don't even question it. So another excuse is the whole nagging issue of forgiveness. Either a person refuses to forgive someone else or has serious issues with forgiving themselves. So how I understand forgiveness and letting go of our past is to realize in this temple experience certain truths, and that is what I'm attempting to share with you in my own limited way. So typically, life begins in matter at rock bottom and moves through many passages and levels and rooms before anyone reaches the pinnacle of perfection. So what is the pinnacle? The cap of perfection. And not every soul goes through this process, but it's more common than not. There is a plan. And the plan is to genuinely discover and live our authentic and hidden self. The sacred, holy, spiritual self finally comes out into the sun and plays, and in special moments, dances. Yes, a cat even knows how to dance. So no one else does this for us, and that is why the practice of disciplines is so important, and being responsible is part of our spiritual evolution. And people talk about salvation. The only genuine salvation is freeing the soul from the nonsense of bodily ignorance. We become our destiny through attaining a higher knowledge of wisdom and learning to control the forces of nature instead of allowing them to make us a slave. The original focus must be to subdue and be in control of our lower nature. Now here again, you have to use your imagination and visualize a temple. We begin at the bottom, and through our perseverance and faith and intuitive knowing that there must be something far better than the typical human life, or any life for that matter, a life that has lack or limitation and suffering, we begin our journey up and through the corridors of understanding with an intent that will culminate in enlightenment. So once the pinnacle is reached, the cap, we end repetitive rounds of incarnation unless we choose otherwise. Now, why continue this charade of suffering? I wish people would ask themselves that. Instead, why not align ourselves with those who are striving for full and conscious enlightenment? This is an entirely different form of outward power than the typical energies so many are impressed with. An outward power hiding an inward emptiness of love of self and service is nothingness. So the goal is to awaken the inner power through making deliberate choices and arousing and demonstrating the exalted unity of a higher love and wisdom right here in matter. Yes, there is a plan, and we are an integral part of it. You can't escape it. We are to consciously arouse and live our divinity and help others do through the same thing through respect and love and helpfulness. In other words, live outwardly our true selves and stop hiding or denying what our mission actually is. Excuse me. We need to do something differently, and that is actually being the hidden light openly right here in matter. We have the power to transform life so it reflects the beauty waiting to be discovered. Now, why am I saying all this? What I'm sharing is prompted by a desire to unite people all over the world who are ready to come together for a higher purpose. Not through struggle and war. We can experience an awakening collective consciousness. So why not promote goodness and order, spiritual awakening, and a genuine brotherhood with souls who are ready to be truly alive and filled with light? The challenge for some of us is to actually do this without any affiliation with a particular religion or organization, but simply because we've chosen to be mature and loving and live with integrity. So imagine your body and your home and your earth and universe as a temple of many passages and levels of consciousness. And until your movement upward is steady, it is best to remain silent regarding your goal. In essence, you desire and claim your right in being your true spiritual self right here in matter. It is your destiny, so why put it off? We can actually gain mastery right now, this life experiencing. And what I am referring to is going beyond the mind illusion, the mortal dream. So how are we going to ascend and achieve a union of the lower mortal self with the divine and higher self? Now, some ancient thoughts and actions on this subject will interest you, and I hope if you're not applying them, that you'll seriously begin to think about it. To authentically penetrate the mysteries, guess what? Ethical conduct is at the top of the list. Be attentive, watch your moves, as well as the collective environment. So right actions are a must. Meditate in the silence daily and ask that you gain understanding and acquire devotion. Eventually, you reach a point where you willingly surrender your ego, and direct knowledge through intuition will be a frequent visitor. Your efforts eventually will trigger devotion. Now, if devotion is lacking, you haven't yet reached that point, that feeling nature that's indescribable. And as a result, the journey of spiritual evolution remains an intellectual exercise. So, Baba's energy and Mama Shi's will touch on direct knowledge a little bit later in the third video, although many people reach a genuine sense of devotion, it is difficult to sustain if they're not balanced in the body and mind. So this is why it's important to monitor what we allow into our energy and what we choose to give out. I often use the word choose because we do have free will, And this is why no one else is to blame for our experiences. And somewhere in the past, through desire, opinion, and curiosity, a decision was personally made to feel and know a specific experience. So it's hard to believe, and yet it's very true, that we choose our experiences, whether they be good or not so good. So disciplines are not always that easy to attain, yet they are an absolute necessity for a human to mature and move up the ladder of soul awareness. Judgment is common, although master teachers strongly suggest we do not use it towards others. Why? Because it's a negative energy, and it's very unlikely that you consciously know why someone else made a decision to behave as they do. For the most part, the unenlightened rarely understand why they act as they do. A simple example. Many people falsely believe that a wealthy person must be a wise person, and that's what impresses them. Not so. To judge solely by appearance is a huge mistake. Many spiritually advanced humans prefer simplicity and not the clutter of material things. At the same time, there's nothing wrong in material wealth. It usually makes life very comfortable. And material life could also occupy the mind so much that the soul relaxes and ceases actually to seek understanding of the purpose of life. So material life is a wonderful wealth in our lives is a wonderful means for providing a greater service to life. But judgment is a waste of energy because each has its own soul plan, and it's not our purpose to deliberately change the will of another and deliberately interfere in their play of consciousness. So when we seriously begin to focus on the disciplines, we're announcing to our hidden true self, I want to know my spiritual identity. It is on this level of disciplinary choices that we build a firm foundation. If we haven't reached a certain level of maturity and stability and intellectual capacity, how can we achieve our goal? So this is the period of growth where we avidly study and listen and hopefully learn. This is called indirect knowledge. But the disciplines actually lead to our great spiritual awakening. The effect is cumulative. So gradually we learn to be true of thought and word and deed. We actually transform our energy bit by bit in the body, in the mind, and the soul. The goal is to be balanced, peaceful, develop character, live in harmony, and help others who ask. And virtues lead to a natural devotion forming in the mind and heart. Sometimes we fall back. In fact, we usually do. But in the stepping forth, we begin to actually have hope because we don't need to waste time and continue to suffer. The energy changes. And the idea that we can be perfect right here in the physical and become a god or goddess actually is a delightful one. That is why we love our superheroes and heroines. It can be accomplished now, and everyone can do it. So as I said before, indirect knowledge begins by studying the words of sages and doing our best to apply their awakened wisdom. We listen attentively, in the meantime are often shocked by what comes out of people's mouths, such as, I have Crohn's disease, or something else. And the acceptance of the disease becomes his or her personal mantra. Yes, repetition of someone else's opinion, whether true or not, makes it worse. I've often heard someone say, well, I'll probably get cancer because it runs in my family. Now, I'm not suggesting you to go into denial, But please do not make a manifestation by focusing on it like it is a badge of honor. Begin to listen carefully and discover how people allow opinions to rule their lives. Now, right actions are suggested in all philosophies and religions. Right actions would be best on whatever teaching resonates to your current level of understanding and willingness to demonstrate. Now think about that. And the next, meditation is a must. You don't have to be playing all kinds of interesting tapes. Just sit in the silence. The silence is a blessing that will carry you to heights far beyond any suffering and pain in your life. And discipline is making a pledge, so to speak, to your hidden luminous self that your purpose in life is to attain enlightenment and genuinely know the hidden eternal identity. And to be disciplined is your choice, regardless of what anyone close to you may think regarding spiritual investigation. It's being responsible and a willing service towards others and doing something positive about protecting nature. You have your journey according to your readiness for the next step, and they have theirs. Respect one another. So the sense of protection will increase regarding caring for the homeless, for instance, and the desire to see equality between men and women and all people. Yes, there can be justice not only for people who set themselves off as special, but for all of us. So why not share our resources if we can? Now there is a movement, thank God, afoot today, and the movement is leading towards balance and peace. To contribute, we must begin with self. So why not be awake in the dream that we have created? Why not choose to be a conscious creator? It helps the plan unfold when we include devotional practices, simple at-home rituals to set the mood and study, and develop disciplines that are necessary for the current moment of our own development. So strive to be steady on your path, your chosen path. And whatever you do, don't attempt to push it on another unless they ask. And as I already mentioned, watchfulness, alertness, avoiding being judgmental, and doing our best to see behind the appearance and be able to discern energy are all part of the awakening package. So when you make the choice to consciously ascend, that means to evolve spiritually, become more intimately aware of your hidden nature and actually live it. Do yourself a favor and associate, for the most part, with others of light mind. And think of your choices as developing into an emerging priest or priestess of your bodily and environmental temple, not allowing others who lack faith or drive or goals toward perfection, love, and wisdom to impede your goal. So the incentive is to transcend ordinary human vision and be your transcendental self. And eventually our light increases. And we become living sun rays as we enlighten the mind and actually understand a deeper meaning to life and divinity, not only in us, but in nature. There has always been mystery teachings. Why should teachings be a mystery? Why not choose to exercise disciplines that awaken a heartfelt love towards all life, and a genuine devotion towards the beloved one. You see, there's only one God, Source, Supreme Creator, that's indescribable and nameless. We're part of that, and we're destined to be enlightened beings. And the power and presence is oneness. Yet it manifests everywhere in all things, right here on earth, as form. So develop your character and do your best not to attract more karma or fetters, as they're called, ignorance, into your soul and life. And intuition will increase, and you'll immediately know when you have spoken or acted carelessly. And the more you practice disciplines and know yourself, transformation will occur both within and without. So be patient. We need to absorb our new experiences and particularly develop discernment so we can clearly differentiate what is true and not true for us. It may be true for somebody else, but not for us. So eventually we'll move away from accepting other people's opinions and ask our inner voice, is this true at this point of understanding for me? As an example, many people are gullible and assume that if they listen to someone channeling, or they hear a voice, receive a sign, or something other than what they consider as normal occurring, it must be authentic. Not necessarily so. Why? There are levels and passageways in our personal temple and the temple we call Earth. And the same holds true in the subtle worlds of multiple dimensions and densities. Consciousness is the name of the game we're playing. So play it fully alert and not be fooled. It helps to understand that your physical, emotional, and mental temple is a vibratory energy complex. And if you begin to think of your spine as a tree of possibilities, that if the vibrations of light as colored are mastered, you eventually live from the cap of your expanding and eternal pyramid. So simply said, each energy center beginning at the lower root chakra has 7 steps, each of them, that you must ascend and control to gain mastery in that energy center and eventually become an adept. The red base energy is fundamental survival energy. And the second energy complex, the orange, has emotional blockages in the form of personal eccentricities or distortions with regard to a self-conscious understanding or acceptance of self. Now, if this energy is predominant, you could lean towards desire and control over others. I'm saying this briefly, but you get the idea. And the third center that needs to be cleared is the yellow ray or solar plexus center. And blockages in this center will often manifest as behavior towards power manipulation and other social behaviors. The energy center of the green ray, the 4th chakra in your heart, is your springboard to infinite intelligence. And often blockages manifest in the heart with difficulties in expressing what you may call universal love or compassion. But this center, the heart, the green light, is the open door to conscious evolution and mastery of self and matter. Now, as a result of pure love, remember there's those 7 levels within each center. When you reach that highest within you, you will naturally seek ways to express yourself, which you do in the Blue Ray Center is an outpouring of compassion for nature and animals and all life. You look for ways to express your understanding of self through service in music and poetry and drama and art and the written word. You find some way. And as an author awakening in the Blue Ray Center of energy, you have an opportunity to express the language of light. The Blue Throat energy has a good understanding of spiritual identity. As I said, it has its levels and steps that, when unblocked, eventually remove any blockages directly related to communication with self and others. The goal in our transformation is the pineal, the third eye center, the indigo of the sixth center or chakra. It remains blocked if you persist in feelings of unworthiness. It is important to clear the subconscious and conscious part of the mind of any distortions in this amazing center, so you may freely receive the outpourings of love and light from Source, the Beloved One. The indigo, the pineal, is your gateway home. Now, healers often work from the indigo center. And for any of us to effectively work from this high level of consciousness, we need to clear the ignorance and distortion from the lower levels of our body-mind temple. So the disciplines that I mentioned, although briefly, are designed to move you across the levels of consciousness as you clear and fully activate each station in harmony and balance. And all the energy centers have a wide range of rotational speed or brilliance. So give your centers, pay attention to how you feel in different areas of your body, the attention they deserve, and it'll help you gain mastery and harmony and balance. And eventually, each color returns to purity and radiates white light. There is one more video that will be part of these 3 videos, and that one is on direct experience, devotion, and magical work. So in the meantime, be kind to yourself. We love you.